Yo, yo, yo. So today we are talking about the 7 habits of highly effective people by Stephen R Covey. And I am translating this in summary and in a language that you and I both fucking understand. Okay? That little personality of this thing. So let's talk about paradigms and principles. Paradigms, they're the way that we see the world, perception, interpretation, and it determines our attitudes. So when you think of this, really, it's what enables us to make decisions along the way, right? Based on our experiences and the way that things have affected us and the way we perceive them to have happened to us, right? And so one of the very common ways that everybody can probably relate to is a relationship situation where you have a cheater, right? And so you've been cheated on multiple times, and by the time you get a relationship that, hey, the dude is actually probably awesome or the chick is probably awesome, you're literally waiting for them to fuck up. Literally, like, you know what, this is too good to be true. They're about to do some shit. I'm not going to get comfortable. I'm going to keep my guard up. And that way, when it goes south, I can just be like, okay, good riddance, bye bitch, right? And so that is pretty much what the paradigm is. It's the way that we see the world. Another good example is, when you're one of those chicks or guys or whatever, you're ready to quit your job. You want to do your own fucking thing. You want to be an entrepreneur, a side hustler. You want to do your own thing. And people are looking at you with the side eye, like, how the fuck are you going to make money with that? But you've seen it. You've seen it happen. You've seen people do it. You have evidence and proof and all that good shit. And you're like, I can make this shit happen. But the paradigm for you is literally based off of the people you know, what you've been doing, and what you've been following and studying, right? And so that person that you're talking to who's side-eyeing you, hey, all they ever fucking knew was having a job, going to work every day with no desire for much else because maybe they haven't been exposed to a whole bunch of other things outside of their little tiny bubble. Now, the funny thing about a paradigm is that, it literally is our integrity because we can't think one way and act another. And I mean, we can, but how long are you really going to last before your true colors show? Let's just be real, right? And so when we think about that, it's very hard for us to act a different way than what we're thinking based on our experiences, okay? And so the habits of highly effective people, 7 habits, right, that Stephen Covey says we have. And so how do we change this shit, right? We've seen things that are fucked up, the things that have happened, and we're just like, okay, we want this thing, we want to change, but you know what? Based on evidence and the statistics, shit ain't looking too good for me, okay? So first, let's talk about this paradigm shift. Paradigm shift, it moves us from seeing the world one way to another. And it doesn't matter if it's positive or if it's negative, right? So we could have been positive this whole time. You've been holding out for that right person for your relationship and you still have the optimism, right? So you continue to go until finally you're like, you know what, fuck this. I'm on guy 32. I'm on chick 32. And shit ain't fucking sweet. And so you start to go the opposite direction. Or it could be the other way where you're like been in a job forever and ever and ever. You've never been noticed and recognized. And maybe you get moved to another department or you take another position. All of a sudden people are noticing your work. They're noticing you're kicking ass. And so things start to look up for you because you're already thinking positive. And so you continue to attract positivity into your life. Okay. Now, versus if you're working from a state of negativity or positivity, it's going to affect how you interact with others, okay? So that paradigm shift is literally going to move you from one place to the other. Let's talk about it from a daily basis. If you just had a fucked up day, a crazy ass morning, and it's like, okay, what the hell? Now I got to deal with these bullshit ass motherfuckers. I got to deal with this bullshit. You know what? Don't take me back to my old self. I'm going to get real G on you real quick. And that's kind of how the attitude that you have, right? As you're rolling up into work or going to deal with these people or whatever. But on the opposite side, if you woke up where, your paycheck hit the bank, you got payments coming in from your side hustle, shit is sweet, your outfit look good as fuck, eyebrows on fleek, and you going to interact with motherfuckers like, yo, I fucking love you, right? So the shift is literally the aha moment when shit changes. Now, believe it or not, we all have a paradigm shift every fucking morning, okay? But they're subtle because we're used to it, okay? Now, it's when you are literally trying to make a huge change in life that all of a sudden you're going to notice the whole fucking shift, the whole turn of your universe. So let's talk about the principle-centered paradigm, okay? This is important because people like to take shortcuts, right? And if you want to attract something to you, you have to grow into that position. You have to become that person. And as much as I want to tell you that there are shortcuts and easy ways out of this shit, and maybe you could pay for it or fuck for it or whatever the case may be, thinking you're going to sell your firstborn child and shit's just going to change, it is not, because principles are natural laws. There are no shortcuts to this shit. It's legit processes for you to go through, for you to have to develop your character and literally go into this. And so it sounds pretty complicated and fucking, oh man, I got to do all this work or whatever. But when you really think about it, I mean, what you're going after, rather it's, if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking about being your own boss, having your own business, being an entrepreneur, whatever. And let me be honest with you, it's totally fucking worth all the work to do it. It is totally worth all the work to wake up when the sun hits your face, to not listen to some bitch ass boss who is giving you mundane tasks and stupid shit to do, and you're probably smarter than him to begin with, right? So it's worth it for you to be able to run your own shit, the effort that goes into it, Principles of natural laws. The way it works is like fucking gravity, okay? We're going to be 60 and our tits might hit our waistline. It is what it is. We can change that by paying for it, but it's even that's not a shortcut. Like, we're going to go through the pain of it hurting and the medicine and the money and the assistance and all that shit, right? So no shortcuts. Literally, principles are natural laws that must be followed in order for you to get the end results. So let's actually talk about the 7 habits, okay? I'm going to start with talking about what a habit is. Essentially, a habit is the cross between knowledge, right? So what you've learned along the way, skill, which is the knowledge that you've actually applied along the way, and then the desire of what you want. How bad do you want this shit, right? So what are the 7 habits? 1, be proactive, yo, right? Begin with the end. Put things first. We're going to think in a win-win type of mentality, and then seek to understand and then be understood. Synergize. I love that fucking word. Synergize is an awesome word. It's like fucking magic. Okay. And then you need to sharpen the saw. And I know you're like, what the fuck? This is all, what is all this, right? But it's cool. It's cool. I understand that you're like, this is new. Or maybe it's not new and you're just like, I don't really want to fucking deal with this. Like, do I really want to be nice to people? Right? Do I really want to deal with people? But the thing about it is you want to influence people. And when you're impacting and influencing people, you literally have a world of puppets. And I don't mean to make that sound dark and shitty or whatever, but when you think about the people who are like literally running the world, the people who are running on buying their albums and wearing their clothes and watching their shows and buying their shit, they have influence, okay? And believe it or not, they have developed these skills along the way, because we all started with an idea. We all started in the beginning, and people probably laughed at us at least 1 to 2 dozen times, right? So let's talk about the first one. Be proactive, yo. Seriously, like, it's more than just initiative. You're human, okay? You're responsible for your own fucking life. And what that means is that while you will always be affected by external stimuli, by the things that are going on around you, by whatever the fuck happened, your mom calling the shit out of you, your sister being an asshole, the booty call that you want to be the boyfriend, but he's half-assing it and shit, like, you're going to be affected by all that stuff, okay? But you are responsible for your own life, and that means that you have to take responsibility for your actions. And when you really break down responsibility, it's literally you're responsible for your response, right? So you have the ability to control your response. That and the fact that you're driven by values. So for you to be proactive, for you to take the initiative and be responsible for your own life, know that you're driven by a value. And so an external situation is not going to change your core values. You know what you're about, right? And then the initiative is literally that, yo, make shit happen. Kick down motherfucking doors and make shit happen. If people don't want to let you in, create your own opportunity. The other part of that is that you're controlled by is your circle of concerns. So what concerns you? Is it, to live happily ever after? Is it to have a fuck ton of money? Is it to impact people? Is it to help your family? Is it to, look a certain way, feel a certain way? Those are the things that are going to control your life. And so you need to know what those things are so that when people are like tapping on that shit, you know how to protect yourself so that those things that are of importance to you are always protected. So let's talk about beginning with the end. This is the second one, right? So where the fuck are you going? Literally. Most times we jump out and we're like, oh, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, that's awesome. But what do you want to make all the money for, right? So where the fuck are you going? Leadership versus management. And let me explain real quick because, managerial skills, right? They're awesome. They play a point, but leadership is really the key because if you create influence and impact, people want to know where the fuck to go. And if you are not ready to step into that leadership role, then where the hell are you leading them to? Leadership literally comes first. You can't manage things that you aren't leading, right? So let's talk about the imagination to create your world. And what we mean by that is, or what Stephen Covey means by that is it's the potential. Imagination is the potential of what you can create. Dream far, wide, and big. Dream as though there is not a goddamn thing stopping you. There is no money limits. There's no time limits. Like literally, what the fuck do you want? That's your end. Right? And so that's your potential. And then your conscious self, your conscious mind is the experiences of the universal law. And what I mean by that is those are the things that are your limitations that you are going to have to effectively develop, right, to make shit happen. And that could mean honing your skills and getting education and doing new things and applying and creating experience and maybe being of service to others. Actually, absolutely being of service to others. There is no maybe about that. And then further, what is your personal mission? What do you want to be? So what the fuck is going to take you to the end? What is going to get you there? It's not just about, what is the end, but literally what's going to keep you on focus and on track on the way. Because if this shit is not a personal mission, you will quickly be like, hey, deuces, bitch, I'm out. Where's the fucking Henny? I'm good with this. Like, seriously. So the third thing is to put first things first, which sounds kind of crazy because we already said, hey, it's first, right? But the deal with that is it's literally second to leadership because we talked about leadership first, right? Where are we taking the people? And now we're talking about the management part. So you have to have the ability to manage and delegate. It's cool if you are a leader and you know where you're going. And so you kind of start to do things for yourself all the fucking time. You don't really want to, hand out any task and shit. You're like, oh, whatever. If you want it done right, you do it yourself. And that's great. But the problem with that is it's going to stump your success because you have to have the ability to delegate shit as well as make decisions and choices. And by that, I mean, there's, you gotta get rid of that fucking procrastination. Sometimes you just get your ass out there and fucking fail. But also the decision to empower other motherfuckers, give them the power to hone their skills and learn some shit and take initiative on their own. Okay. And then act rather than be acted upon. So what that means is instead of letting people, say, oh, well, we're going to do this or why don't we do that? Be ready to take action and lead your people into that. So you're going to take action, lead your people to that, and then delegate those tasks to those people, right? Another thing that comes with putting things first is time management because you're adulting, okay? And adulting means that you can prioritize, right? You need to prioritize things. And showing people that not only you are a leader, but you're also capable of making decisions and taking action and delegating shit shows that, hey, this person can be trusted and I can follow this person. See how the influence comes back together, right? And then effectiveness rather than efficiency. And so a lot of times when you start this shit, you're all like, oh, I can do it better myself. I don't feel like teaching this person. That's just frustrating. People are fucking dumb. I don't talk stupid. All those fucking things. And don't get me wrong. Look, I've been there too. But by being able to be effective rather than worrying about efficiency, that means effectiveness means passing out these tasks to other people who can do it for you. You're now able to continue to move, to shift the movement, to build the movement, to grow the movement. But not only that, they see you taking action, being a leader, being boss as fuck, being CEO, and they're like, oh, that's where I'm trying to get to. That's where I want to be. And so you're continuing to create that influence. And now this one is a hard one, right? Think win-win. This is a fucking hard one. Oh my God, this shit took me years to learn, okay? Because it's so easy for us to be like, I'm going to snatch that bitch soul because she did this and I ain't got time for this bullshit. And you know what? I'm going to drag this bitch. Like, it's easy for you to think that. But when you're thinking in terms of success, massive success, can I say that again? Massive success. It's not about the technique, but the human philosophy, which I totally spelled wrong on this slide. But guess who ain't going back to fix that shit? So the win-win here is that you guys can see that I ain't perfect and I make mistakes. Booyah. So generally people tend to think in a win-lose mentality or a lose-win mentality or a lose-lose mentality, or you know what? No fucking deal at all. But I have to tell you that thinking win-win is not a technique. It's literally a frame of fucking mind. Every time something happens, you have to say, okay, how can I find the silver lining of this? And I know it sounds so cliche and super wussy, but to be honest with you, if you're the kind of person who can find that, and I ain't talking about these pushover motherfuckers, okay? I'm talking about people who gangsta as fuck, just like me and the rest of us, because generally the people I draw to me, we love Jesus and we love trap music, it's that nice balance, right? But it's like, okay, yeah, I'll snatch a bitch if I got to, but when I really think of the win-win situation of this, I can influence and make such a way bigger impact by literally figuring out the silver lining and letting that chick go. Let her go, let her do her thing, or let him go do his thing. Because at the end of the day, you always gonna be fucking winning, period. You a boss. You fucking last night, what's the line? Last night you took an L, but the day you bounce back, that's what it is. So find the win-win, okay? I'll give you an example. Like, I had this client who fired me because she decided that she didn't want to pay me anymore because she wanted to use the money to allocate to other businesses or whatever. But the truth of the matter is I wanted to fire her, right? So it was fine. Yeah, it was like a whole situation with dealing with the contract and the money owed and everything. But I was glad to get rid of her out of my roster. And when you look at the win-win situation of that means I wasn't bogged down by that motherfucker anymore, okay? So look at how this can play into your life and how you can change it. Also, when you are thinking in a win-win situation, all parties feel fucking amazing. And fucking has 2 Ks because clearly we felt super fucking amazing, right? It's like everybody feels like they won, the person you're dealing with as well as yourself. And when that happens, even if you don't want to work with that person again or deal with that person again, they're always going to speak highly of you. And I know you're probably thinking, she always say don't give a fuck about people's opinions, 0 fucks, blah, blah, blah. And that is very true. But what I mean by that is those opinions of other people should not affect how you operate. But opinions of people that you have a win-win situation with are going to take you so far because they're going to talk about you to other people, okay? Another thing is to be cooperative and not competitive. I tell you guys all the time, look, there's not another fucking soul that shines like you. And what that means is collaborating with someone is going to take you further than trying to be competitive with that person. And I'm not saying this because you can't win, but because if you use your influential powers in the manner that they should be used, they're just going to adore you and absorb themselves into you, and there is no competition because you're you. It's not a personality technique. It's literally a shift in how you interact with motherfuckers, period. The way that you interact with a person is going to take you a very long way. And it has to do with a lot of maturity, because I'm not going to lie, that shit is hard, okay? You have to do some practice with this, but the abundance that it brings you is amazing. So when I think of win-win, it's not because you wussed out or you were a pussy. It's because you decided that abundance is more important than you, than like fucking looking how far you can piss. Seek to understand before you're looking to be understood. Communication is the most important skill. I mean, no matter whatever relationship that you're in, communication is the most important skill, because if you cannot convey what you're thinking to the other person, there is that disconnect where they never see your side and nothing gets accomplished. So to influence is to understand, right? And so if you show that you're ready to understand that person first, then they will be more open to understanding what you have to say. But the problem is that most people listen waiting to respond, like legit don't have a fucking clue about what the other person said. They're just ready to fucking spew out some shit. Like, you ever been? And so I always had this rule, right, where I can't be naked and argue. Like, that shit is my pet peeve. Like, I cannot argue with you without my underwear on and my titties out. Like, it just can't work for me. I feel vulnerable. It's too much. But literally, like, when you have that argument with your significant other, and it's like, you're just adamant on what the fuck you have to say, and you don't give a fuck what they're saying, you just can't wait to see what you have to say. Like, nothing gets solved from that, and so you end up going to bed mad. Nobody gets any sex. It's just a fucking mess. But when you're able to really understand that person, to say, hey, I acknowledge what you're saying, and I do understand it, but when these things happen, it makes me feel this way. Like, you can get so much more done. Okay, now, when you're doing that, you literally inspire openness and trust. When a person feels like they can trust you with what they have to say and their feelings, it's easy to get them to communicate with you. And so when you apply this to a business situation and they feel like they can be open with you and they can trust you, they're going to tell you exactly what the fuck you need or what they need. And so you just go and create those things, and it's very easy to sell or create those services or those products or whatever. Also, this can be used in, a romantic relationship or, a parent-child relationship or whatever. But when you inspire the openness and the platform for them to come and speak with you and say how they feel without judgment and criticism, you literally have opened up the floodgates to a gold mine, especially in business, because they are going to tell you their every problem and every need. And all you have to do is create something that fills that need, right? Now, the only problem with inspiring openness and trust is that you have to be vulnerable. And while being vulnerable is not something most people want to be, you can create boundaries where you're not literally telling every fucking thing about yourself. So just be careful on that part. Tell them what's relevant, what's going to apply to the situation that you're dealing with, but they don't need to know every fucking thing about you, okay? And be sure that you're setting boundaries for yourself, because once you establish this type of relationship and they feel so close to you and they feel like they can trust you, they will sometimes try to invade your space. And so it's important for you to protect yourself from them taking up all of your energy. Synergize, my fucking magical word. Like, this is literally the motherfucking magic. I love this word. This is when you are able to, this is when you are able to make it all come together. This is when you're doing exactly what you want to do, and shit happens in a way that you are just excited about. You can't believe it happened. And it's like, oh my God, how is this happening so fucking easily, right? So that's synergy. That is when, people are drawn to you. They're flocking to you. You're charismatic. And not even when you're trying, because these other skills and steps that we talked about have become second nature to you, and you just do it all the time. And so that is when you are able to bring it all together, and shit just gets real cool, right? It brings it together so that you're understood, they're understood, and it's literally the highest activity in life. Once people really experience the real synergy, they're never quite the same, because there's that possibility of having such mind-expanding adventures, and the creativity is so exciting, the collaboration is so exciting, and the phenomenal openness and communication is just to no other. So sharpening the saw, right? So now you got this energy, you've got people flocking to you and everything, and you need to sharpen the saw, which is preserving and enhancing you. That means that you are forever in regeneration, right? So you are investing in yourself. That means that could be investing time in yourself, taking time out for yourself, taking time to explore your creativity, taking time to hone your skills to improve your business or whatever, okay? You are literally in your own fucking lane. There is no competition because it's you and there's no other person like you, right? You are now working on the physical dimension, the spiritual dimension, and the mental dimension. And so the physical dimension is like literally physical. You're gonna need that body to spend these millions, okay? So make sure you're taking care of that thing. Feed it the right things. Give it activity every day. Relax yourself. Don't stress yourself out. Because when the millions come, you want to be able to enjoy it, right? Your spiritual dimension is your core, it's your center. It's what's going to keep you focused. It's going to keep you sane. It keeps the anxiety out, the stress away, the bad energy away from you, right? Make sure you know when the bad energy has entered your area. Be able to recognize that and be self-aware of how you act when you come in contact with that kind of shit. And then there's the mental dimension, which is the education and the constant learning, which is what I was telling you guys about. If you're going to be an expert in something, you're going to be teaching other people something, you're going to sell a service or a product or whatever, you need to always be learning about that thing, honing your skills, getting better so that you have more and more to offer the people who are learning from you, the people you are selling things to. You want to position yourself in a way that is unmatchable, right? And then there's the social and emotional dimension. And that is literally relationships. So that's who you're dealing with. Rather, it is an intimate relationship, a mother, a parent-child relationship, or a customer business relationship, or maybe it's just a colleague or affiliate. But the point is that you need to have balance and make sure that you are still nurturing those relationships. That's super, super fucking important, because if you start to shift where everything is business, or everything is school or career or work or whatever, you're not centered anymore. And so it becomes very strained, and you feel like you have sacrificed all these things for somebody or some people that don't even appreciate it, right? So you don't want to be in that position. So make sure you're balancing those 4 areas. And again, the self-renewal is like the reinvention of yourself. You're going to always be shedding skin and growing a new person. You're like a snake, right? You're always shedding it, learning more, absorbing more, shedding it, and it's a process that continues on and on. And so it's definitely something that you have to be aware of. Always be on your fucking game, right? And so the wrap up, right? This is where really the rubber meets the road, as they say. The takeaways, the big takeaways are, don't let these fuckers see you sweat. When you're thinking about influencing people, don't shoot off your fucking rocker and venting on Facebook and acting an ass and shit. And it doesn't mean you're never going to be upset and you're never going to want to like snatch a bitch's soul. But it means that you don't have a buddy or a fucking accountability partner or some shit, and that you can rip them a new one, with a disclosure that this isn't about you. This is about these bitches I'm dealing with, right? Also, if you want success, you're going to have to connect. So be adamant, careful, strategic, and passionate about building relationships. Nobody has ever built a business on their own. And then, get over your fucking self. If these things make you feel like, oh, I don't want to be vulnerable. Oh, I don't want to be nice to people. I don't want to deal with this. You want to stay in your little hole and be whoever the fuck you are. That's great. But just know you're going to stay in the same spot, It is what it is. You are going to have to connect. You're going to have to do some things to get further, right? I mean, none of this is going to come easy. It all comes with a price, and the price is service. The price is building relationships and connection. Okay, so listen, if you can't get enough of the motherfucking gang, this was literally personal development for motherfuckers who love that universe shit and trap music, okay? So if you can't get enough of the gang, or maybe you just need more personal development and training, then you can check us out at the following areas. We are BG Billionaire on Twitter, Brown Girls Billionaire Gang on Instagram, and then browngirlsbillionairegang.com on the web, all right? Remember, stick to the basics and save the intricate shit for the professionals. Until next time, we rock and be.